Welcome to the Sunday night, Monday morning RotoWire Fantasy Baseball podcast. This week we'll be talking about some mid-round starting pitchers and a second installment of things about baseball we actually do like in these trying times. Happy Sunday night, everybody. Welcome to the RotoWire Fantasy Baseball podcast. I am Scott Jenstad, joined as always on Sunday nights by Jeff Erickson. We are a partnership with WinBet on the podcast. We really appreciate them for that across all the RotoWire podcasts. If you can please rate or review the podcast, it helps us along a lot. Also, it helps people find the podcast, which is a really good thing. If you enjoy listening to us or anybody on the RotoWire podcast, please leave us a bunch of stars. That'd be very much appreciated. Jeff, we got another day where it looks like the baseball labor stuff is not good. So we're going to talk about some stuff about baseball we like, but more importantly, how are you?
I'm good, except for the things that we don't like about baseball. But I didn't have much hope. I'm not really all that. I mean, it's like, well, okay, it's the worst case scenario, which was the more like the 90% likelihood scenario anyhow. So, okay, moving on.
I was thinking maybe we had like a little miracle couple days in here to work stuff out. But I mean, obviously, we've talked about it a lot. I've been pretty pessimistic. It seems like if you believe any of the quotes and stuff today, and obviously, take all those with a grain of salt, it seems like they're pretty much deadlocked at a point where someone's going to have to really kind of cave at some point. And I don't think that happens until, someone starts to feel some economic stress from this whole thing.
Yeah. I tried to wade in at one point today and I was like, wait, what am I doing?
Yeah.
It is what it is. And moreover, I don't think I'm going to persuade anybody at this point in time. And I should probably stop trying it. It's just now it's almost like I'm living in my own little echo chamber. So we're going to focus on players and focus on things we like about baseball, right?
Exactly. I agree. I mean, we'll have some announcements this week on maybe some more canceled games, and you and I have to decide on some live drafts and stuff, but obviously, small problems in the world, but it's been a frustrating few weeks. I think that we all want baseball back. And I think the argument on Twitter gets to be that I think everybody just wants the same result at some point. So, but I agree with you, the back and forth and whose fault is this is you're not going to change anybody's mind at this point.
Right. Including mine. I mean, I'm just as guilty. I'll be honest.
Yeah.
I probably just as guilty as everybody else at just making up my mind on who's good, who's evil, what's right, what's wrong. It's not about fairness. It's about leverage. It's about this getting done. So
yeah,
I'm just going to move on and we're going to go from there.
I am too. We're going to talk about some fun stuff at the top here. Then we're going to do a big segment on mid-round starting pitchers. I think as I've started to do some drafts here and started to do a little more prep and all that, I've realized that mid-round starting pitcher is really important. I think everybody kind of likes the same aces, and the top 20 pitchers are all everybody likes those guys. And Jeff just completely disappeared out of the room, but I'll keep talking. It's kind of one of those ranges where we want to really find guys, and those are the ones that make differences in leagues. Those everybody has their one or two starters, but those like 3, 4, 5, and 6 guys, like finding the right guys versus the wrong guys, and there are wrong guys going to be in that range. There are always guys in that range that those 11, 12, 13 rounds that blow up and cause you a lot of ratio damage. Finding the right pitchers in that range, especially this season, feels really important to me.
It does, and I'm glad some of the names on this list we may have talked about a little bit here and there. Some of them are guys I frequently am drafting, so I'm hopefully these are guys that you are approving of, and you're not just like talking about some of the guys like, oh, I overdrafted, but
there are some of both on the list. So
okay.
I tried to pick guys that we hadn't fully dove into yet. So if there's anybody that we fully did, I may have forgotten, but I tried to pick guys that we hadn't fully done. But let's do some stuff at the top. Baseball has been rough lately. Let's talk about some stuff we like. We talked about a bunch of stadiums and players last week. I want to talk a little more. Start to talk a little more media. We're going to do some movies and books, and then we're going to talk about a situation where if you could pick, what game you'd like to attend or a couple games you'd like to attend that's happened in your lifetime. We're going to do that. I think it's going to be a fun one. I thought about it way too much, so I think I have some good ones. But let's start with movies. Movies are always a controversial baseball thing. Some people hate them. Some people love them. Some people love all of them. Some people hate some of them. Where are you on your top 2 or 3 baseball movies?
I had a hard time because there's a lot of them. Start off with Major League is my top one.
Wow, we agree on something. That's pretty good.
Yeah. I can watch anytime it's on, I can watch it. It probably couldn't be made today. I still like it. I still enjoy it. It's not even that great of the baseball players playing aspect of it isn't great.
Right.
It's not, some of it's not fully believable, but I still like it nonetheless.
And
So we're
super quotable too. Like
Yeah.
there's like 9 million quotes. My movies and books and stuff are always like kind of personal experience. We had a baseball practice kind of in the dog days of baseball in high school. My freshman year, it was like kind of raining and cold. It was kind of the part of the season where like, let's just play games. None of us want to practice. And our coach drove in his car. We're like, what's going on? Like, why is he driving up rather than walking up to the field? And he told us we're all not having practice today. We're going to a student union kind of place. He'd rented out a big TV and couches. We went all watch Major League. So it's always
awesome.
Always a good memory for me. Like that is that random Tuesday where like nobody wants to be out there and you love practicing, you love the game, but like it just long day of school, all that. So it was one of those things that stick with me, and just a fun thing that always it boosted up a little bit for me. It's my wife's favorite movie ever, so we ended up watching it a bunch. So it's
nice.
I'm in agreement on number one. That was the first. I think it was the only R-rated movie she was allowed to watch when she was growing up. So it's I think it's held a special place for her. We almost always watch at the start of baseball season. So hopefully we'll be able to watch it at some point in the next couple of months.
Right, and seeing the careers of some of the actors, Wesley Snipes before he really blew up. Dennis Haysbert, excuse me, before he became the president.
Yep.
And the Allstate guy.
Yep.
They were awesome. There's a lot of cool
Charlie
things like
Sheen before he became Charlie Sheen.
Yeah, that's true. Another one.
The other
he was still likable. Yes.
Yeah, he was still likable. Yeah. And there's a bunch of those guys, like the guy Harris, the pitcher, is he's in like Hoosiers, but he's always like the kind of the angry older guy. He's good there. The manager's awesome. It's just it's a good one. What's second for you?
Bull Durham. I could watch that anytime. Costner, like he has a whole genre of baseball movies. I could just do a Kevin Costner category, pretty much. But give me Bull Durham over Field of Dreams, and we won't even talk about Love of the Game. But
we are going to talk about for Love of the Game.
Okay, that's fine. I'm not a rom-com sort of guy, so
I'm a rom-com movie and book person. It's kind of sad.
Okay, well, hey, we all have our things, and that's fine. This isn't a judging place, so that's fine. But yeah, I love Bull Durham. I think there's so many good things about that. That's also a bit of a rom-com, by the way.
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah. I think it's. I like the concept of like digging into the minor leagues, digging into that aspect of it there too. What it's like for a town, like the ardent fans of a minor league team. I think that's pretty cool. I think Ron did a great job.
I worked in minor league baseball for summer, and there's a lot of stuff that's really true in that movie. Like it is so small time. I've worked in Major League Baseball, worked in minor league baseball. It's just so small time in comparison. It's just the differences are so vast. Like I remember the GM and I built our batting cage at our stadium. Like we're like, oh, we got new equipment for batting cage. We're going to build that. So we went out and built that. I would hold the ladder. He would change the sign up on the who were playing the next day. Like legit insanely dangerous. Like he's like, I can't let you do it because you might get hurt and we might get sued. So I'm going to go ahead and do it. Like way up on a ladder. It was just insanely stupid, but someone had to do it and there's nobody there to do it. And it's not electronic. So it's, changing that marquee was tough, but it captures minor league baseball really well.
It does. Who's your number two?
Our Bull Durham's in there for me too. So I'm going to skip it. I'm actually going to go with a more recent one. I'm going to go with 42, which the Jackie Robinson movie. Not maybe the greatest movie ever, but I just enjoyed it. I thought it was well done. I thought Chadwick Boseman was really, really good in that part too. And it just a story that definitely needed to be told. And I thought they did a pretty good job of telling it. A topic that's tough. Like some of the race stuff in there is really tough to hear and listen to. And obviously those actors that played some of those parts, like that's tough to play that role. But I thought they did a pretty good job kind of putting it all together. And I enjoyed that one.
You want to hear something? Hear an admission?
I do. You've never seen it.
I've never seen 42, and I don't know why.
I was going to say, there's probably not a particular reason.
There is no particular reason why. Maybe it was just when it was out, but why didn't I watch it on Netflix? That's a correctable error.
Yeah.
Which maybe I'll do this week.
It's really good. I mean, you're not winning an Oscar for it.
I'm writing this down.
Yeah,
watch 42. There you go.
They did a really good job kind of putting it all together. And like I said, a tough topic, and they did a really good job putting it through. We got a couple people here. Justin Mason is in the chat room. Matt Gibson also. They both said Moneyball. Spoiler alert, I'm going to save Moneyball for the next segment of this.
Same. Well, I will say this: I did not enjoy the movie.
I like the movie, but it's hard as an A's fan to really like the movie because it's just like there's so much left out. And I know they have to do drama for the movies and all that, but like Hudson, Mulder, and Zito weren't even in the movie, and like
Right.
they changed so much of. I get it; they have to do it. They have to make it interesting to people who don't like baseball. But it was, as an A's fan, it was hard for me to do. It's also hard for me as an A's fan to watch that them play up that 20-game winning streak, knowing they end up losing the playoffs. It's just it's always tough for me. But
right,
I thought Brad Pitt was good, but yeah, I could give or take the movie.
Yeah, I mean the whole like showing up at Scott Hatterberg's house to try to sign him thing. It's just not how it works. And
the first place being incredibly hard to play is a great line though. There's the one.
It is.
That's good, but yeah,
Ron Washington holds up well in that one there. But
yeah, a lot of it's absurd. The best part of that movie is that the 20th win of that streak, that Kansas City game, they were up 10-0, and like the angst you feel from Billy Beane as they start to give away that lead is literally how I felt as a fan of that game. Because like you wanted that 20 so bad, and then the game was over. Hudson was on the mound, and all of a sudden Mike Sweeney homers and Jeff Tam came in and just got lit up, and it was just you're like, you can't believe they're gonna lose a 20-game win streak with a 10-run lead. Like the game was over, we are kind of doing other things, and all of a sudden you're like, oh, this game's not over yet, and all of a sudden you got your ace on the mound and came back, but it was it's set up. It's one of those, that part of it was actually the Hatterberg hitting the home run seems very Hollywoody, but actually that game was kind of crazy.
Yeah. By the way, so we're already talking about the movie. We might as well just talk. We both have Moneyball on our list on the book. So
I do for sure. Yeah.
How cool is it that it was written about your favorite team?
It's great. Like I remember when it was like the news was coming out, Michael Lewis was writing the book. I was like, really, about the A's? And it was just really cool to read it as a baseball book, but then as an A's fan, it was awesome. That was a really fun era. If I have a regret in baseball, as a fan, it's that era team did not end up winning. That team was so good from like 01 to 04. 00 to 03. They lost in the ALDS all 4 years, all in game 5. Like every single one. They had 2 of those. I think they had 2-0 leads. I know they did at least one of them, but yeah, I think they did 2, Yankees and Red Sox. But yeah, just like those were really good teams. Before Giambi left too, those first couple teams were awesome. That 0-1 team was so good. It was just disappointing they never made the step, because now you have to hear Billy Beane didn't win a World Series crap. You're like, well, he also had no budget and won 100 games a bunch of years in a row. But it's tough. Yeah.
Third movie. Let's move on, because I know one native at least is getting restless. So we'll hit that. But third one, I had a tough choice. I mean, I could. There's a lot of them I wanted to do, but so I'm going to kind of cheat.
Please do.
I'm going to name 3 here for my number 3.
All right.
8 Men Out.
All right. Well done.
Pride of the Yankees. If you want to go old school.
Old school. That is old school.
Yeah. Although the ballet scene is like super duper long. And that could be like, it could be 10 seconds and they stayed like 2 minutes, awkward minutes with them watching someone dancing in a ballet on a date. And The Natural. Yeah. I love The Natural also. I mean, I could have gone so many different ways, but those are the 3 I wanted.
I love like the first 45 minutes of The Natural and like the last 30 minutes. I think the middle kind of moves a little bit slow.
It drags a little.
That last scene's amazing. And like that's an all-time great scene.
And I haven't seen that in over 20 years, so I should probably give it a rewatch.
Oh, yeah, you should watch it. It's again, it's slow in the middle, but like the beginning and the end, it's really good. But I will say I do have a soft spot for Love of the Game. I know you made fun of it earlier. I definitely am probably a little more rom-com than you are. I just think they piece it together with the way it's going to the first inning, and it kind of builds with his life story and the game. The baseball scenes are utterly absurd. The last out of that perfect game is the most ridiculous thing of all time. It's a chopper that he tips, and somehow the second baseman makes a diving catch up the middle and still throws a guy. It's utterly insane. Like, it's not really a baseball play, but I don't know. I like. I'm a sucker for the fun story. I like the relationship with him and the stepdaughter. So I'm a little soft. I admit that in both my both my reading and my TV and my movies. But I find that if that's on and it's halfway through, I find myself watching it and not flipping off it. So that's a pretty good sign right there.
Okay, very cool. I would have also, a couple other good mentions here. League of Their Own.
Oh, nice call.
Good call. Bingo Law, Traveling All-Stars.
Oh.
Summer Catch. I've heard good things about Summer Catch. Haven't seen it.
I'm guessing that's parody right there.
I heard it was actually funny.
It's not great. Not great.
Okay. Well,
if you want to see bad baseball in a movie, Freddie Prinze Jr. pretending to throw 95 is truly absurd.
Right. Well, I was just going to say, Trouble with the Curve is I can't stand movie.
A horrendous movie all around.
Yeah. Worst baseball movie.
As are all the Major League sequels.
Yeah. Matt Gibson also mentioned Sandlot.
Classic.
Haven't seen Sandlot either.
You have not seen Sandlot? How did you have 2 kids? You guys never sat down and watched Sandlot?
I have 2 girls.
Still
have never even played softball, let alone baseball. And only Aaron now is caring about baseball, but Allie never has cared about baseball.
You and Aaron should watch Sandlot then.
I was just at a perfect time when I got middled on that one. Just like I haven't seen Saved by the Bell either. I was too old for it. And then, so that's fine.
I don't love Sandlot as much as many people do, but it is a very fun watch. You guys would like it. Watch it with your daughter that kind of sort of likes baseball a little bit. She'll like it.
Yep.
Books we mentioned Moneyball. That was on both of our lists. Give me another couple baseball books that you, as we're waiting for games to start, maybe you're going to check out. You want people to check out and read that you've enjoyed.
Okay, so Ball 4, automatic. You must read it at some point in time in your life. And you could read like all the other things that were inspired by Ball 4, like Bill Lee's book. Ron Luciano's The Umpire Strikes Back, Umpire Strikes Out. All these, but. I like Lords of the Realm if you want to read about the history of labor negotiations. This is nothing new.
I've definitely not read that one.
You absolutely should. John Hilliard. This shows that what's happening now is nothing new at all.
I'm writing that down.
Yeah, Lords of the Realm. I can give you my copy. It's absolutely worth a read. Bill James, you may know his online persona right now and not care for it, but Baseball Abstract was everything. It was eye-opening, boom. And everything he's written has been amazing. The historical Baseball Abstract, incredible. All his books about the Hall of Fame, incredible. He's just the original OG best baseball writer ever. And then finally, I got to mention Baseball Prospectus. Any of especially the early editions, I read them all. So many great writers that and I know that's an annual, so it's kind of a cheat to say that, but I think it's worth mentioning.
So I was a little different on mine. I'm going with the Ted Williams, The Science of Hitting book, which I literally could not put down
that's a good book.
For 5 years when I was playing Little League. That there's that one picture of the zones, and it's you could tell the hot zones. I'd never seen that before. And swing with a little bit of an uppercut. It pretty much taught me how to swing and made me a better hitter. So I always go with that. More recently, the Joe Posnanski book, the Baseball 100, I thought was really, really well done. Insane in depth on the top 100 players. Not top 100 in order, but the top 100 he mixes it. He puts Joe DiMaggio at 56 and Mariano at 42, just to
of course
put their numbers there. But a lot of Negro League players that I'd never read about. It was really informative in that regard. So that was out. I think there's not just this or just 2021, but a really good read, a long read, but a really good read. Mm-hmm. And then I'm gonna go a fiction book on you too. The Art of Fielding by Chad Harbach, which came out about 5-6 years ago, about a story about a Division II shortstop who has never made an error in his entire career. I don't know if you've read the book or not, but really good. He ends up making one error that kind of really changes the whole course of his life and a bunch of other people's lives at the same time. So it's a really good book. It's probably a little bit rom-com, I don't know, rom-com, but a little drama in there. But it's a really good read that is mostly baseball based.
Yeah. Anthony brings up a good question. Do we still read books or to listen to audiobooks? Here's another admission. Never done audiobook before. Every book I've consumed has been read.
I struggle with audiobooks. I find myself just zoning out. I'll just be I don't know what I heard the last 20 minutes because I'm not one I can just
it's like a podcast. It's in the background, you know.
I guess you could do driving and you probably focus on it a little more, but now that I don't really commute, I don't really do it. But I do only ebooks pretty much. I can't remember the last time I read a hardcover book, but I do ebooks pretty consistently and very regularly.
I'm old. I do actually books.
Wow.
I don't do ebooks.
Some people love that. Some people books.
I love going to a bookstore. I love going to a bookstore still.
If you can find one, sure,
yeah. There's the one in Pasadena, not too far from you. Vromans, yeah.
Yep. Well, I've been there many times. But
there's two different Vromans too. One in downtown and one out by Hastings Ranch.
Yep. They are few and far between, but we do have a couple good ones here. But I'm an ebook every night before bed kind of person. So I'm always reading something. Yeah. So my other question for you before we get into some fantasy stuff, and I thought about this one a bunch. I thought it was a fun question. If you could put yourself in the crowd for any major league game in your lifetime. So I don't want to do Ted Williams, Babe Ruth, Lou Gehrig kind of stuff. But
I missed your lifetime thing.
Oh,
I can pivot still.
You can cheat. You could cheat on that one. My only rule though is you can't involve your favorite team. Because obviously we would just pick, you'd pick the 90 Reds game 4 and we get in a fight about that and it would just be a long discussion. What games would it be? I thought about this one a bunch and I came up with my top 3, but I'm going to go to you first and see where you went with there.
Okay.
Curious if we have any the same.
Two historicals I got to go to first. Babe Ruth called shot against the Cubs. I would love to see if he actually called it.
That's fair.
Any perfecto, but preferably Don Larson's.
Yeah.
I'll give you 3 current ones though.
Okay.
Mets Astros 86.
Oh, great
and
game.
the playoffs there. Insane game. Just insane. So many twists and turns in that one there.
Billy Hatcher off the foul pole.
Yep, exactly. Bucky Dent.
Oh, good
Even
call.
though I am not a Yankees fan. Well, that's the whole point. It can't be a team we're fans. I mean, that was just such a wild game.
Yeah.
And goofy. Here's a goofy one. The George Brett Pine-Tar game. I would love to have seen that one. Although be frustrated because it didn't end, or ended weird, but and it didn't count. But those are three.
Those are good ones. So when I was thinking this, my thought was like, perfect games and historical stuff was cool, but I ended up going with playoff games because I think that obviously more important. I also thought that as I went through it, it'd have to be the home team. For me, it'd have to be the home team winning the game because it's just like at a different level of like excitement and all that for the home team winning the game. So my three, the first one I came up was the Buckner game. I think that at Shea Stadium, that would be just an absurd game. And that game was over. They had nobody on.
That was an insane game.
Nobody on 2 outs. People all remember the Buckner thing and the wild pitch and all that, but like the game was over. They had nobody on and 2 outs, and that series was over. And to come back on that, especially against Boston, like Boston had won in. At that point, it was 80-something years, but that game would have been insane to be at. Yeah, I'm not a New York crowd person always, but New York crowds when stuff's going well are kind of a step up from every other crowd. I'm a West Coast fan, but I have to admit that when you're at Yankee Stadium or someone like that, and something happens, it's a great place to be at. Kind of leads into my second one, which is 2001 World Series Game 4.
Yeah.
In Yankee Stadium. That game was over too.
Poor Byung-Hyun Kim.
Yeah. Game was over too. The Diamondbacks are up 2-1 in the series, and the 2 outs, and Tino hits the home run. But you had the added stuff of right after 9/11. Like that was a year where people had trouble rooting against the Yankees, and that crowd was even especially ramped up. Tino hits the home run, then Jeter goes walk off as it strikes November. Like just a unbelievable, like one of those games like you could be at would just be amazing in a Yankees crowd. And my third one is not New York. I promise not to do New York. Would be 1991 World Series Game 7. Twins Braves. I think that's even more ramped up because the Game 6 the night before was the Kirby walk-off, and everybody's so ramped up for that game. When you have the game before, it's crazy. You get into that Game 7, and then to go 10 innings, nobody scores. Jack Morris just going out there pitching his butt off, and you get the walk-off. And the Metrodome was a terrible place to watch baseball. But in playoff games, that place was beyond loud, and that was they were nuts. They won 8-0 in their 8 World Series games in 87 and 91 at home, and it was a huge home field advantage.
Oh yeah, they had the hefty bags out there, but all that. John Smoltz pitching his nuts off. Charlie Leibrandt having a great World Series. People don't remember that. If you wanted to go 2001, also you could do the Piazza first game after 9/11 too. Would have been amazing.
Yeah, I remember watching that game and being like, "This is unbelievable to watch on TV." So I can't imagine being there. Yeah,
but I need you to recognize that I could have done something to you very cruel. And all. Are you
gonna go? You're gonna go 88 Game 1?
I could have. And I did that out of consideration for you. I didn't name that as one of my 3.
I do appreciate that. I think that's kind of a given that's the top one. Like if you're to be at that game, although half the place was leaving before the home run.
I would have been one of those headlights. No, I never leave games early, let alone a playoff game, for crying out loud. But
I appreciate that, but I understand that on the top of the list, everybody would be 88 Game 1. I mean, that was just an impossible moment. I do understand that fully. I wasn't allowed to say it because it involved my favorite team, but I appreciate your generosity there.
Yes. And that's why I couldn't mention 75 World Series Carlton Fisk. Appreciate you not mentioning that.
See, there you go. We're even. I was born then too.
I was 4. So
I was 4 months. So yeah.
Yeah, there you go. I do vaguely remember 76 because my parents were at a game that year.
I was going to ask you, what is like the first real baseball memory you've had?
That's it. 76 World Series. Johnny Bench versus Thurman Munson. Supposedly that was the debate. The Riverfront Stadium had a scoreboard thing flashing Thurman something like that. And they scored from first base on somebody's single, but Ben Bench homered and the Reds swept. So it was pretty cool. But I only barely remember that. I remember Foster the next year going nuts.
Did they win? They won 2 with that team, right?
Yeah, they should have won so many more. But early in the 70s, they kept on coming up small in the World Series or just running into something. But that was 76 was the culmination, and then Tony Perez was gone after that. Got traded. I think they let him walk via free agency, or if it was a very underwhelming trade. I think it was an underwhelming trade. I don't think but regardless, the team broke up. They said, we got Danny Dreesen. He's just as good. That was unfair to Danny Dreesen, who was a good player,
right?
But not just as good.
Yeah, mine is like kind of like 80, 81 in there when the A's had Ricky Henderson. I can remember like going to games, sitting in the outfield, and we went to the 81 playoffs. It was the year they had like the split seasons where they had the strike stuff, and I remember that. I mean, we went to the Yankees. They lost to the Yankees, and A's center fielder like dropped a fly ball to lose the game. I was like, I kind of remember that, but yeah, 80, 81, all the Ricky Henderson stuff is kind of when I really started to get into it. I can remember going to games and stuff, but
yeah.
Well, good stuff. I see. I know everybody wants to talk about fantasy, but I like talking about some of the great moments. And it's fun. Baseball's nothing on baseball Twitter is good right now, so I figured a few minutes talking about some good stuff and good memories would be a good way to break into the start of the podcast.
Judging by the responses in the chat and Twitter, I think we struck a chord. So I'm happy
I think it's fun. I think people are tired of hearing about the back and forth, and when it's going to get settled, it's going to get settled, and there's not much you and I could do about it, unfortunately.
Correct.
So let's jump into some fantasy stuff. I want to start with some nudes and notes, but first, a note from our sponsors at WynnBET. WynnBET is now the exclusive sponsor for RotoWire's fantasy podcast. WynnBET brings you all the latest action with a user-friendly interface, moneyline bets, boosted parlays, over-unders, round robins, live betting, and so much more all at your fingertips. You want to break from sports betting? Head into WynnBET's digital casino and take a spin on roulette, double down on blackjack, slam the slots, or try your hand at baccarat. WynnBET is currently available in 9 states: Arizona, Colorado, Indiana, Louisiana, Michigan, New Jersey, New York, Tennessee, and Virginia, all while rapidly expanding. At WynnBET, the possibilities are limitless. Register for WynnBET today, make a qualifying deposit wager to receive $200 in free bets. Promotion may vary by state. Download WynnBET now. That's WYNNBET. WynnBET, the exclusive partner for RotoWire's fantasy podcasts. So, Jeff, I want to hit a few news and notes. Nothing real major. Obviously, we don't have a lot of stuff. Now, that's what makes it tough. We don't have a lot of good injury news. But as stuff kind of starts to leak out and players do some interviews, and like I want to talk about Max Muncy first. He was on. He's done some interviews talking about how he's ready for opening day, and there was a quote like he hasn't started swinging yet. How do you feel about it? You're doing some drafts. I'm doing some drafts. How do you feel about Muncy right now? Obviously, a guy who had a really good year last year, but had the injury in the playoffs, and now we just kind of don't know what's going on.
Yeah, I posted that update. But I didn't listen to the full podcast. I read a summarization of the podcast, so probably could listen to that closer. But yeah, we're about to start swinging is basically what he said. And which is, if that's true, not great after 6 months, right? But he's the thing I linked to was something that talked about a podcast that happened at least a week before that. So he may have already been swinging by now, for all we know. But yeah, I was already staying off of him.
Staying off him because you're not sure he's gonna be ready. You're worried about power coming back. Both of those.
Both, but more the first.
All right.
The former than the. But obviously, there's a difference between being back and being back. Right. So yeah. All around, I'm worried. I think it's a pretty significant injury, and I think I'd rather take my chances elsewhere where he's going.
And it's tough because in a regular year, we'd know by now. Like they would have had spring training, they would have been there for 2 weeks. We would know if he's swinging or not. We would know how we have so many stories. And, some people are going to get the benefits of some of these injuries, guys, that we just don't know about. Some people are going to get hurt by him. But I almost took Muncy and TGFBI. I was probably, I think it would have been my next pick, and he went a couple picks before me. I like the second base eligibility a lot he got 35 plus home runs in all 3 of his last full seasons. The guy's really good. And I don't think you disagree with that. It's just a matter of, I'd be worried about the fact that there are these reports out there, and we just don't know. And I hate picking guys I just don't know about.
Yeah, for sure.
Same kind of ballpark as Anthony Rendon. There was a quote. It's hard to tell. I actually read this whole story. Pretty much that he's going to be good to go once the season picks up. And you could read that as he wouldn't have been ready if we had started on time, or you could pick that up as he would have been ready at any time. But I kind of like Rendon as a bounce back guy. I am a little worried, that the hip injury is one that I don't really love normally. But this guy was 34, 126 in 2019. Has been a rough couple of years with the Angels. I guess 2020 was pretty decent. 2021 was obviously a big disaster for him. 6 home runs, hit 240, and then had the injury. But where are you on Rendon right now? Coming back, thinking that it sounds like he'll be ready whenever we do start up games.
I'm willing to take the discount on him. I think it's reasonably priced. Let me pull up the latest on him and see to quantify that, because it's easy to say.
I took him in TGFBI at the start of the 8th round.
Yeah, that's pick 106, 107 for you.
Good math. Yep.
Yeah, because you're team 14. So
I'm team 14.
14.
Yes.
So that's 8.2. Yeah, that's commensurate with his price. His ADP from February 1st is 107. Average pick, at least. I don't know about average rank, but that's third baseman number 9.
I had 117, but I just did the last month, so close enough, but in that range.
Yeah, and that's third baseman number 9. I take him after Bryant. That makes sense. after Bregman. I did take Bregman as my take a chance guy in TGFBI. And then, yeah, I mean, he's right there with LeMahieu. I think that's probably fine. I think I might slightly prefer LeMahieu just because of the 3 positions. I think that gives him a little added bump. I mean, I think Rendon is a better pure hitter, but LeMahieu might run a little bit. Justin, by the way, says that it's in TGFBI, it's 110. So
kind of split the difference between our two. Yeah.
Yeah. And Yogurt, you got him about value. I mean, you weren't getting him later. So
I agree with you. I go Bregman before him, but I actually take him before Bryant and definitely before LeMahieu.
Okay. That's fine. You're getting 0 speed, completely utter zero speed. So as long as you're cool with that, I think Rendon also just benefits a lot from his teammates being healthy around him. Right. You get a healthy Trout and a healthy Ohtani next to him, and Adele does something and Marsh does something. All of a sudden you got yourself a stew. And he's going to get lots of counting stats.
See, I got that reference. That was a good one right there.
Thank you.
Arrested Development's so good.
Yeah.
Sixto Sanchez was one of my favorite guys last year before he got hurt. Was a full cross-off for me in every possible way this year, but with the news came out this week, it's just a shame. But it certainly sounds like we're not going to see Sixto anytime soon.
Fun fact: I spent a 9th round pick on him in one of my 2 mains last year.
Fun fact: I did also. It did not go well. He did not earn value at that pick.
Yes. Narrator: he did not cash in that league. Fell short by 2 points, but that's all right. Yes. Other people made mistakes too.
Not like that 9th round pick could have helped you with a couple of points here. Nah. Shane Bieber is another guy that people have been drafting, assuming he's going to be 100%, but he came out this week, did say he is 100%. He's ready to go. Does him saying that affect your valuation of him at all, or do you just expect him to say that anyway?
I expect him to say that anyway. I'd be more, I think it's only noteworthy if he says, I'm not so sure.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, whoop, whoop. But then again, I'm also not taking him where he goes. So for whatever
that was my follow-up is are you taking him where he does go? You said you're not.
No, I haven't been. And I only think he's going to go higher. I think that's one of those, especially again, we're very NFBC centric here and we're main event centric on top of that. Yeah. I think he'll go in the 2nd round by the time we get to the main, and I just won't be there for that.
I do too. His ADP in Draft Champions is about 32 over the last month. So I agree with you. I think we're looking at like a 26, 27. I think he's probably right after DeGrom and before Nola, somewhere in there. And he's probably that after that first tier goes, then DeGrom goes. I think you're looking at Bieber and Nola probably late in the 2nd round in most drafts.
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
Yeah. Last one I want to know is an interesting one. Sia Suzuki coming over from Japan. Obviously has not been able to sign with a major league team based on what's going on. I kind of thought a month ago, like maybe he'd be like, screw you guys. I'm just going to go play another year and not going to wait for what you guys are doing. But it sounds like from quotes from his agent, that it sounds like he's kind of waiting for Major League Baseball. He really wants to come over. Good news if he drafted him, because I really thought there's going to be a point here. And by now he'd be like, I'm just going to go play. And you guys might not figure this out for 2 months. I'm not going to waste a year, waiting for this. But it certainly sounds like he's pretty committed to coming to the U.S.
Yeah, we'll see if what happens when it gets into June.
True.
But
when does the Japan League is fairly consistent schedule with the U.S., right?
Probably is. I think it runs a little later.
Okay, I think because KBO starts a little bit earlier, from what I remember during COVID. But yeah, okay.
Yeah. I will acknowledge that I don't know the start date.
But he probably has to decide. I mean, I guess he could get back with the Japanese team mid-season, but I would think if he wants to play a full season, he's got to decide pretty quick.
Yeah, at least if he wants to get the contract he wants to get,
right.
And all that. A lot of sharps are in on him for whatever it's worth. Jeff Zimmerman got him in our First Pitch Arizona Speakers League. Every time I've seen him go in leagues where I'm in, I'm kind of like, I'm kind of interested in him.
Right.
And I was just like a round late. I guess I'm not. And that's one of those things. You say you're interested, but it's like saying like we are second place in offering this contract to this guy that signed elsewhere. I guess I really wasn't that interested in him.
Of course. Yeah. I mean, 38 home runs last year in the Japanese league, hit 317, had 9 steals, also a 433 OBP. I mean, you never know how stats transfer over. Some guys do really well, some guys don't. There's a lot that goes into that, but the stats from the Japanese league are certainly there for many years here. He's been a big home run hitter for many years there.
Yeah, he has. He's not going to run a whole lot, I don't think. But
he hit 25 in 2019.
I know.
But you're right. But it's only 9 last year, and he's what is he? How old is he? He's 30. He's 20. Oh, he's only 27.
Yeah,
still could be. I think you might get 10 and 12, something like that.
Yeah, I guess I'm hearing too many of the Matsui comparisons, and again,
He's much smaller than that, but I guess the power is probably similar in Japan.
yeah, but then I don't know how it translates. I don't know how his
Yeah.
ballpark is. I should probably learn a little bit more about that.
Well, and we don't know who he's going to play for too, which is obviously a huge factor in how his ballpark plays here. So it's tough. I think he's a guy that's as we see him sign somewhere, we'll move up in drafts. So I think the power with the touch speed and some batting average is an interesting combo that people are going to want to be in on and want to be first in on. And I think he's going to move up as we get to if we have drafts in main event. I think as he signs, as long as he signs somewhere decent. It's sounding like maybe Boston, maybe San Francisco, something like maybe Seattle, the three names that I heard, but I think he moves up a little bit.
Yeah, I think he probably does too.
Cool. Well, those are all those. I just wanted to hit on a few of those just because we had a little sprinkling of news this week, but I want to get into mid-range or mid-round, I guess we call them starting pitchers. I kind of went ADP 125 to 300, so it's a big range, but like in a 12-teamer, that's the 10th round after, and maybe going to about the 22nd round somewhere in there, but. Like we said, you have your first two starters. Maybe you have your one. You're trying to strategize. You want to go with starters. As I got into this range, I became a little more comfortable with maybe not having to have 3 starters in the first 10 rounds, something like that. I think I can get some of these guys I do like later. But starting at the top, let's start with an A's player.
Why not?
Why not? And the second one's a Reds player too, which is even funnier.
Yes.
Sean Manaea is about ADP 130 in drafts over the last month. Solid 2021, 3.91 ERA, 1.23 WHIP. The K's bumped up to about 25.7%, most except for that short 2019 where he just pitched only in September. The walks are good. His xFIP was good. Dropped his hard hit rate. Barrel rate is a bit high, but he did a lot of good things. His velo ticked up a little bit, which is probably the most important thing to me. Like he's a different guy. He's at 89 and 92. He was at 90.4 in 2020. You could tell a difference from 2020 to 2021. Where are you on Manaea? Because it feels pretty fully priced to me at 130. I was a little surprised when I kind of first looked at ADP. I thought maybe he'd be like a 150, 160 guy. He was a little bit higher than I thought he'd be.
Fully priced and rising, and I might still be okay with it.
Okay.
He might be traded. That's a possibility. I mean, he's certainly marketable. He's someone that other teams would definitely want and pay a decent amount in prospects for, I would think.
Yep.
Then it kind of depends on where he lands, obviously, because I think he does benefit from being in Oakland.
Yes.
I like him though. I do like him. I give him, if he goes to a team that's projected to win more games, I'm going to bump him a couple more wins in my projection. I think this is, I don't have a whole lot of strong things to say, except because I think you kind of much covered it there. Home run rate was a little high last year, even though the Ks were up too. So, I mean, is that the trade-off? I'll take it if so.
Yeah, and the swinging strike rate spiked, which is good to see, 12.3%, which is a career high. You look at his StatCast page, it's not great. Only the K percentage and walk percentage are really strong. He's just kind of, but I think pitching in Oakland helps him a lot. So for me, it would depend if he got traded where it would be. I think he benefits a lot from. The A's defense was good up until late last year, but they have a lot of good defensive players before that. But I'm kind of okay at the price too. Not someone I'm targeting, but not someone I'm like, oh, I don't want that. Like I think if I'm in a spot and I need a pitcher, I'll look at a few guys, and he's definitely one of them that I'm looking at in the spot.
Yeah.
Before we get to your Reds guy, a quick note from our sponsors at Thrive. Experience a new way to play daily fantasy sports on Thrive Fantasy. Thrive Fantasy is an exciting player prop fantasy contest. With Thrive Fantasy, you can eliminate the countless hours of research and focus on only the top-tier athletes that have the biggest impact on the game. Sign up for Thrive Fantasy today and receive a free 6-month RotoWire subscription. Here's how you claim your free RotoWire subscription. Visit rotowire.com/thrive. Deposit a minimum of $10 and receive a 100% deposit bonus up to $100. Play in your first paid contract and receive a free 6-month RotoWire subscription. So, Jeff, we're going to go to your team here. We're going to go to Cincinnati. Tyler Mahle, ADP is about 134, right after Sean Manaea. Strong 2021, 3.75 ERA, 1.23 WHIP in 180 innings. I'll let you talk on Mahle. You're the Reds guy. Where are you on him with the price?
I like the durability. There's strikeouts there to be had. K percentage did drop from like nearly 30% to 27.7 last year. Did walk fewer. These are good things, but walk fewer is still almost 9%.
Yeah,
it's still a pretty decent walk rate. The thing that gets me though with Mahle, and why I'm not high on Mahle, is that the home ballpark. He's getting crushed in Great American. I hate using pitchers that I can't use at home, and I think this is a real thing at Great American. I don't, nibble bomb. I don't want that.
Especially in the ninth round. You got to be able to throw your ninth rounder at home games.
Yeah, and that's exactly right. And, opposing hitters went 270, 344, 511 against him in Great American, 19 homers in Great American. It could be a little bit of a ball, sample size fluke for sure. And then maybe there's another level. Remember, he wasn't full-time in the rotation until really 2020.
Yeah.
And so there could be another layer of growth there, but I feel like it's already priced in, and maybe not completely priced in, because really priced in would be, top 5 rounds or 6 rounds or something like that. But I need him to be at best my number 3, and I kind of even uncomfortable with that. Give me Manaea over him. Okay. Give me the next guy on our list over him, which is Luis Garcia. Looking ADP wise, others that I probably like better than Molly. I like Zach Gallen better. I like Eovaldi better. I like Chris Bassett better. All these guys I take over Molly. Framber Valdez, I think I would also take too. Shane Baz, I probably would too.
Okay. Yeah. So you're probably not getting that because you're going to take somebody else that you
Correct.
like in that range. I do like the fact that he has 3 pitches that all get swings and misses. He had a 25% or higher whiff rate on 3 different pitches, up to 32% on his splitter. Through the splitter a little bit more in 2021. I like to see that. It seems to be a really good strikeout pitch for him. But yeah, as I looked at it, like the StatCast profile is nice. There's a lot of red on that screen, but I kind of came in the same area. I may like him a little bit more, but the Great American Ballpark thing just worries me. There's a lot of home run issues, and that just scares me. He bumped up his ground ball rate a little bit from 2021. It was really bad in 2020, so he helped that a little bit. And you want more ground balls pitching there, but I just think he gets hurt by the ballpark too.
Yeah. You
mentioned the next guy on the list, Luis Garcia. ADP is about 143. He made 28 starts in 2021, 3.48 ERA, 1.18 whip. K rate was 26.4%. I think the best thing about Garcia's season last year was the drop in the walk rate. It's still 8%, but that was lower than any season in the minors too. Like that was not. It's not like he's a low walks in the minors that kind of bumped up when he first came up and then went back down. Like he had a walk issues in the minors, so I'd like to see that came down. So, I mean, he only pitched 12 innings in 2020. One of those guys that we just don't know what he did in 2020. We assume he's pitching the alternate site somewhere. We don't know. But 2019, he was only in A ball and double A, or in high A, but he was really, really good at that levels. Swing strike rate is 13.4%. Love that. Doesn't throw super, super hard, but his cutter and slider both had whiff rates over 40%. The changeup was 39%. You give me a guy with 3 pitches over 39% whiff rate. I know I'm going to get strikeouts. I might even get more strikeouts than we had last year. The fastball got hit hard. It's kind of the one weakness we've got here. But I really like Luis Garcia in this range.
I do too. I thought I'd get him at a cheaper price, but everybody can see everybody can see the same things that we see. Yeah. Everybody digs into the same numbers we dig into.
But the ADP is still kind of where it is so far, at least.
Friend of the show, Yancey Eaton, was talking about everybody having the same sleeper because we don't read each other's stuff. And it's true, but we all read the same things to get to our conclusions. So, sure. And that's he's not a sleeper anymore, but he's still okay. I'm still okay with that. I like that he added velocity in the playoffs. Yeah. I'd be concerned about durability. I mean, I think that might be a slight concern. The Astros, they didn't use him much in 2020. He ended up throwing 155 regular season innings, and he was their most durable guy in the playoffs. He and Framber, I guess. But so you're talking about someone that you're paying full price for, and you're kind of hoping he's past this injury nexus. That would be my concern. But other than that, I mean, I'm also going to be, this is one of those appeal to authority situations. Buy Astros pitchers, buy Rays pitchers, buy Brewers pitchers, maybe Blue Jays, although I think, as Fred and I were talking about, that might be kind of buy Blue Jays pitchers. I'm not quite 100% there, but I do like Pete Walker as a pitching coach. So I like getting Framber. I like getting like Christian Javier late. The only one I'm probably not paying full price for, and nobody is now because of the latest news, is Lance McCullers, but I wasn't paying sticker price on him.
Yeah, that start that Garcia had against, I think it was Boston in the playoffs in the LCS Game 6, like 5 and 2/3, 1 hit, 1 walk, 7 Ks. Awesome performance in a huge spot there. Would you go Garcia or Manaea? Because I think it seems like we probably take them both over Molly. Which one do you take between there? Because in Garcia, that range, you get to make that
probably
call. Yeah,
but I wouldn't mind getting both of them.
Yeah.
So
I think I go Garcia a little bit too.
Yeah.
So we talk about sleepers, and everybody likes the same sleepers. The next guy we're going to talk about is a sleeper, and not even a sleeper. Everybody knows about him, but somebody likes that I actually don't is Logan Gilbert. His ADP is 150. Obviously, he was really good in the minors in 2019. Another guy that 2020 kind of got lost. Made 24 starts at the Mariners last year, 4.6 area, but 1.17 WHIP. Good number there. 14th overall pick in 2018. So we got a big prospect pedigree guy. Good K to walk. K rate was 25%. Walk rate's nice at 5.6%. You love that in the first year up in the minors. Nice swinging strike rate at 12.4%. But before I kind of give you my concerns, where are you on? Are you on Gilbert at the price about 150?
No, I don't think I've gotten him yet. I kind of want to see another year. I mean, I could be missing out. I rapidly acknowledge that. Going from 24 starts to the next level, 30 starts. Yeah, I worry about that a little bit. But yeah, he could be a good whip guy. I mean, that is possible. I love the lack of walks. I like that he doesn't nibble. I'd like to see maybe, a few, the fly balls scare me. The fact he pitches in Seattle helps with that a little bit, but he might also get seen around a few more times too. So yeah, I don't put him in the same level here. I'm more like, I need to be like around 175, 180 before I plunk down on him.
The one thing I think that could change it for me is if he throws his changeup more. His changeup was really good last year. He only threw it 8% of the time, but 52% whiff rate. It was a really effective pitch. His whiff rate and slider is good. The big problem with me is I just don't love at this price. I think he's got a lot of upside, but I just don't like the price. I don't like the hard hit. I don't like the hard hit rate. 44.6% puts about the 11th percentile last year. 9% barrel rate. I think he just gave up too much hard contact in this range for me. I think unlike you, I think I probably need to see one more year. It's probably too late at that point. His end of year was really nice. He had a 2.7 ERA in August. I think he had a few hiccups after that, but he had a pretty good run. I guess that was his end of the year. He had a pretty good run of starts there where he seemed to kind of finally, because he got called up and it was a little bit rough to begin with. But I just think I like other guys more. I would definitely go Luis Garcia ahead of him, and that's only 7 picks of ADP difference. So I'm probably not going to end up with Gilbert at the price. If he dropped a little bit, I'd be interested, but at ADP 150, I'm not paying the price this year.
I'd agree.
Next guy is someone I'm definitely not in the price. A lot of people are. At pick 188 ADP is Tarek Skubal in Detroit. He made 29 starts last year, 4.34 ERA, 1.26 whip. K rate was good, 26%. He was even higher than that in the minors. Walk rate was 7.4%, pretty workable there. I worry a ton here about his hard contact. He gave up 2.1 home runs per 9, gave 35 home runs last year in his 29 starts. Hard hit rate's 45.1%. Barrel is 13.9%. That puts him in the first percentile, I believe, in barrel rate last year, which is not good. You look at his StatCast page, he's under 10th percentile in hard hit rate, xWOBA, xERA, xSlug, barrel rate, and chase rate. Like under 10 percentile in all 6 of those categories. Like, it's a lot. You always see like guys maybe struggle one thing here or there. That's a lot of things he's struggling on. At the ADP at 188, there's just a lot of guys this range I prefer a lot more than Skubal.
So it's funny because we're going to disagree on this one here.
Oh, good.
All the damage happened on one pitch. It was his four-seamer, and I think this is a pitch mix issue. I think this is a growth issue where you go where the puck is moving, not where it's been. I know where you're going to use that phrase. I use that phrase. I'm stealing it from Liz, and I'm kind of he's not on the radio anymore, so I get to use that phrase all the time now.
I like it.
But he's got Tucker Barnhart behind the plate. A better framer, better pitch caller, just a better catcher all around. I think that's going to work wonders with him. I think he's just going to grow up a little bit more and learn how to pitch, use that pitch more effectively, locate it better. I think there's going to be improvement across the board. It is projecting. It is not seeing what has happened. However, he misses bats so much. I get to use this reference one more time. I did Matt Williams's Turn 2 podcast where we did AL Central players, and I wanted to tell him, I even told him, I think he's getting overdrafted. And then I dug in a little bit more on him, and I like him more now. I love the K percentage. I love the K minus walk percentage. Keep in mind, they had the governor switch on him a little bit last year. They pulled him like artificially a lot of times a lot of times they would just pull the trigger and like take him out after 20 batters faced. That was his limit. Didn't matter what stage of the game that they're in, things of that nature. And that's not going to happen. At least I don't think it is. Detroit's actively trying to win this year. And so I think that's going to be a little bit different there too. They got a better defender at shortstop in Javi Baez. They had a horrible shortstop situation last year. So I think that's going to improve. There's some wish casting here. I picked him at pick 190 in labor. And I think there's still room for profit at that price. So
So ADP is about 190. Is this someone that you're actively pushing up a round or two, or is it something that you're like, if I get the AP, I'm fine snagging him there? How
it's more the latter, but okay. I'm not taking him at 150 yet. Okay. I take all the guys, maybe not Molly, but I'll take all the guys we've discussed so far. I think Gilbert versus Skubal is a tough call for me. Let's put it that way. I take Manaea over him, definitely. I take Garcia over him, definitely. I'd probably take Molly over him actually too, but Gilbert, I think that's where it's a toss up for me. I think Detroit's a team on the rise too.
I like when we disagree. That's good. That makes for good stuff. I wouldn't take him at pick 225.
Okay. That's okay. Cause one of these days we're going to get paired up in the same main again and it's going to be terrible.
Let's hope not. We just try to avoid that. We'll go different days or something.
Yeah.
I know we're always there at the same time. So it could happen. It's just if there's hopefully more drafts, less percentage chance to have it. We're in the first 2 years together, I think.
Not the first two, but two of the first three. I'm pretty sure.
I knew there was two in there for sure.
There's one year where I was picking on the wheel, and I think that was the year that you finished like way high.
I think I was leading like in August 1st, and I finished like 11th.
Yep, I was the Joe Mauer year. I did get Joe Mauer right that year.
That was my Brendan Webb year where I finished 11th overall in the fourth round. I was between Webb and Roy Halladay, and it was like 50-50, and it kind of took at the end, made a less call. I think Halladay won the Cy Young, and Webb made through 4 innings.
Yeah. We all remember the what went wrong is not the what went right. You had Nelson Cruz that year too, and that went just fine. So
I had Nelson Cruz at the min pick in the main event too, and it was still beautiful.
Yeah.
I remember I was in the middle, and there was no way I was letting him get back around because that was my pick that year, and it worked out nice. That was a funny year. I got it was Kershaw's second year. I got him late. Got Kazmir, and I had two closers that each saved like 40 plus games. I never made a bid on a closer or had to use a third closer the entire year.
Oh,
it was Joe. I think it was Joe Nathan and Heath Bell, if I remember, but never even thought about a third closer the entire season.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, it was one. It never works out that way, but when it does, it is so nice. So
yeah.
We appreciate all the comments come in. Matt Gibson said he got Skubal at 229, 234. For me, that's the point I'm taking. I said I wouldn't at 225. That's about the range I'd take him. Obviously, Jeff would take him before that. Logan is your fifth starter. Sure, if you can get that, Logan Gilbert, your fifth starter. But I mean, that's pick 150 means you're taking five starters in the first 11 rounds. That's really tough to manage in a 15 teamer or in a 12. In a 12 teamer, that's 5 starters in your first 12 rounds. That's tough to get there.
Yeah.
Got a few more pictures here before we jump out of here. I want to talk about some really good ones here, guys, that I do like. But first, a note from our sponsors at Better Edge. Do you think your betting skills are good enough to win you tickets to the Final Four? It's time to put your money where your mouth is. Better Edge is giving away a trip for 2 to the Final Four in New Orleans. All you have to do is join their contest at betteredge.com/Final Four, and better is BETTOR. Better Edge believes sports betting with no fee should be the norm, and odds are it's legal in your state. Check it out and enter their March Madness contest for win a trip to the Final Four. Head on over to betteredge.com/Final Four. That's BETTOR edge.com/Final Four. Terms and conditions to apply. Jeff, have you ever been to a Final Four?
I have not. I've been to a couple of regional finals. Been to 2 regional finals. I saw KU go to the beat Arizona once to get to the Kansas beat Arizona to get to the Final Four.
Anaheim?
Yeah, Anaheim. Very good.
I was at that game.
Wow. Good pull. And I was in Kansas City where it was supposed to be KU as the number 1 seed, but they got beat in the round of the second round by UTEP. That was Dale Davis, if you recall.
I was gonna go Tim Hardaway, and then my UTEP knowledge was done.
But so instead, I got to see Nick Van Exel versus Penny Hardaway for the 4th time.
Cincy, nice.
Yeah, and also in that was Kenny Anderson on Georgia Tech.
Oh, and that was a team. I loved Kenny Anderson, Dennis Scott. That was a team.
Yeah, and that was the team that beat USC. That beat Harold Baby Jordan Minor. So
James Forrest at the buzzer from 35 feet.
Yes, very good memory.
I still have USC friends who have nightmares about that game because that was the year SC was really good. Harold Minor, Robert Pack. Those are some good teams.
Yeah.
I've been to 2 Final Fours. I would highly recommend it. It is the way it's set up with the Saturday games, then Monday. It's just perfect because like everybody's there on Sunday. There's a big party on Sunday all day. It's a really fun setup. Saturday night's fun. Like the games end and everybody just empties. I went in Atlanta and Indianapolis. Indianapolis is actually better. Indianapolis is a perfect setup for that. It was a really good downtown. Atlanta's a little tougher. It's a little more spread out, but we had it's a lot of fun. The games are in terrible venues to watch basketball. I mean, we were in the Georgia Dome watching basketball. It was absurd. I had good seats for the final, so it was fun. But like, they're horrible at that. But the atmosphere and the stuff to do around the time of the games is really, really great.
Yeah, I'm envious. I'll definitely do that someday. I did check off one bucket list. Now I got to get to a World Series and a Final Four. So we'll go.
I imagine you'll get a Final Four someday soon in that same building you went to the Super Bowl. So I don't think it'll be too far. There's going to have to be a Super Bowl or a Final Four at SoFi at some point.
I can't. That's too big.
I was at the Georgia Dome and the Hoosier Dome when I went in Indy. And it was, I mean, I could tell. So in Indy, we had terrible seats. I could tell the colors of the jerseys and the players, and that's it.
I did a Hoosier Dome thing similar to that 84 Olympic team when they were playing their exhibitions.
That's the Bobby Knight team, right?
Yeah. So that was cool because I lived in Indy at the time, and yeah, we were way the heck up there. It was, you couldn't see anything, but it was still like being there.
Not seeing anything, still seeing Michael Jordan play in person is pretty good.
The original Dream Team, basically. But that was an amazing team.
Did Barkley make that team? He got cut, right?
Yeah, he got cut. Famously got cut from that. Yep.
Beautiful. See, I love it. So my next pitcher is a guy that I do really, really like at the ADP, and he's someone that is good. A lot of people do like. He's moving up, but ADP so far in the last month is 200. Is Patrick Sandoval in Anaheim, the Angels? I call him Anaheim, but Los Angeles Angels.
Sure.
Solid until he got hurt. He was a 3.62 guy. 87 innings. He made 14 starts. Bumped the K rate up 26%. The walk rate is a little bit high at 10%. That's the one concern here. Yeah. But I like the ground ball and strikeout combo. He's a 51% ground baller last year. Swinging strike rate's 15.2%. That's a pretty bonkers, like up there with the elite kind of number. That's a really good number. Velo was up a little bit. He was 97th percentile in average exit velo, so didn't give up a lot of hard contact. He's a guy, you look at his stat catch page, kind of the opposite of something as we talked about. It is all red, all good. 51.5% whiff rate at changeup. That's the pitch he threw the most at 29.6%. Slider has a good whiff rate at 28% through that 70% of the time. Huge target for me, the ADP, to the point that I know he's going to go up. I know there's going to be someone that likes him every draft, but someone that I'm willing to move up a couple of rounds to make sure that I try and get.
I like him, but not to the extent you do, but maybe I should dig a little bit more. Concerns for me, one, health, coming off the back, but, it's just, he has not had a lot of innings along the way. So I do worry about that a little bit.
Two, fair point.
6-man rotation. I think that cuts down a start or two there that he misses out on, which means a win or two fewer, a couple of Ks he gets cost. And the walks. The walks are a concern. And actually, walks and homers both are a little bit of concern. It was 1.14 home runs per 9 last year. It was 2.45 in 2020. Granted, that was in 36 innings. So you take that for whatever it's worth.
Still give 10 homers in that stretch. I know.
Yeah. But that a 10-game stretch or a 6-game stretch can make things look a lot worse. So I get that.
For sure.
But I mean, I might be turned on to him a little bit more here. I mean, with your endorsement of him, I do like the Ks. I do like the swing and miss. We always are looking for, swing and miss late, especially that's why we were talking about like Jose Urquidy a week ago. It was either a week ago or 2 weeks ago. Yeah. I like taking Urquidy and then taking a strikeout upside guy like Sandoval later. Now Urquidy, Sandoval's gone by now, so he's a guy like Sandoval, not the actual Sandoval, not the actual El Guapo. But did you get that reference?
I did not.
Okay, well, let's just move on then.
What was it? No, tell me.
Three Amigos.
I was going to guess Three Amigos. Damn.
Yeah. But the whole concept is get your ratio guy so that you can take some chances on K guys later.
Yeah, and with Sandoval, I just think that like the walk rate's a concern for me too, and that's the one thing I was looking at. But like, if he fixes that even a little bit, like he has a ton of upside. Like he could be a top 100 player pretty easily with what he has, just with one little fix. I mean, it takes that little fix, and don't get me wrong, but it's ADP 200. Like I know you're nobody perfect down here, but. And for a 51% whiff rate and a pitch that he throws 30% of the time, it is an elite pitch. It is a great pitch. I like the fastball velo was up a little bit, helps that change up a little bit too. I see a lot of good here at ADP 200. I'm willing to go up a little. If I need to go 170, I'm fine doing it to try and get him. He's definitely one of my bigger targets kind of this mid round.
That's good. It's good to know. I mean, that's again, good to have those guys pocketed there.
So my next guy is someone that as I look at him, like, I think I like this, but it's hard for me to figure out. Whereas I look at Sandoval, I really want to target him. But Tristan Mckenzie, ADP is 234, and he's been very up and down in his career. Like, we saw really some good flashes early, then he was terrible. Then we got some good flashes. He was really good in August and seemed to wear down in September. But 4.95 ERA last year, 120 innings. K rate's good. We know that, 27.5%. But the walk rate's a huge issue, 11.7. But second half walk rate was 6.4% in 70.2 innings. So, like, that's a pretty decent stretch of starts there where he really did find a way to limit the walks. I don't think he's suddenly a control guy by any means, but at least there's a little bit, like, you can see it. He did improve and probably not get better. The K's are definitely the upside. The walks are the downside. He feels like a guy to me that could be really good or could be really bad. And there's a big floor and a really big ceiling. And it's hard for me to figure out what to do with him.
Yeah, me too. Durability to me is the big concern.
Yeah.
6'5", 175.
And he looks it too.
He's skinnier than I was as a poor, struggling law student. And by the way, I was very skinny at one point in time, believe it or not. I mean, I do like, though, it's 27.5K percentage.
Yeah.
If he takes that next step up, Cleveland is so good about developing pitchers. It's the one thing they have. They have an owner that's one of the 25 worst owners in baseball. But
that's well put right there.
Thank you. And they don't have an outfield to speak of, but man, they do get pitching. And I think Mckenzie could take that next step. I haven't been voting with my feet on that yet. And that's a really good price. I should be bumping him up a little bit. I understand he got sent down at a point. Again, walks are a little bit of a thing.
Yeah.
But you got to break some eggs to make an omelet. And, you're looking for, we all have this construction of the next Robbie Ray, and that's probably a bad construction to have, but the next big strikeout bump guy that takes the leap. You look for the guy that makes, knows how to pat and knows how to miss bats, and then you go from there.
So kind of in that same ADP range, a little bit lower, we have Wasker Noah at ADP 248. Pretty solid in his debut last year, a 4.05 ERA, 1.11 whip in 91 innings, made 17 starts. Another guy, like almost a 20% K minus walk. He was 27% K rate, about a 6.7% walk rate. Had some walk issues in the minors, so it was good to see him kind of take that step up. Good ground ball rate, 47%. A lot of hard contact, 43%, 9.1% barrel. Statcast page is not great except for the Ks and the walks. Where are you on Enoa? Because I think he's the one that's kind of feels like he's moving up a little bit. I do think people like him.
Well, he fought the wall and the wall won.
He did. He pulled a Drew Pomerantz on us.
Yeah, and he had the shoulder thing in the playoffs. So I don't know, dude. I've been staying away from him just because he can't. He hasn't been able to pitch. He got scratched in the NLCS, not even in the World Series. Didn't even make the World Series roster. I need to see it. I got to see him throwing in spring training. This is where the lockout hurts me on him. I need positive news before I go anywhere.
I'm always a little bit wary of guys that are 2-pitch guys, kind of in that second tour of duty too. Like, I knew he threw 21 innings in 2020, but and 3 innings in 2019. But that last year was really his first stretch. And I always worry that second year, that 2-pitch guy, I think he needs to develop that third pitch. I don't think it's there yet. So that worries me a little bit on him that as guys figure that out and scouting reports come out a little bit, I think he might have a little being a 2-pitch guy as a starter.
Yeah, I can see it.
Because he threw his changeup 7%, his sinker 4%. The other pitches were 40 and 48. Like, I know the slider is really good, big whiff rate, but I just worry about that from a starter as I kind of get in this range here.
Sure.
What do you do with Casey Mize? ADP is 280. Pretty good ratio year last year. 3.71 ERA, 1.14 whip in 150 innings, made 30 starts. But you get some of the metrics. K rate was not good, 19%. xERA was 4.92. Gave up a lot of home runs. Did have a lot of ground balls, but barrel rate 10%. Swinging strike rate under 10%, 9.4%. You talk about a blue Statcast page. He's definitely one of them. The only thing in red is the walk rate and the fastball velo, which is about average, 56 percentile. But 254 BABIP feels tough to repeat. As I got into Mize a little more, I kind of felt that 3.71 was kind of fool's gold from last year.
Yeah. Debated him a lot with Chris Liss. I've even kind of been defending him a little bit, but I get the critiques on him. It's a lot of projection to try to to count on.
It's number 1 pick overall. So
it's a pedigree play. It reminds me a little bit Rick Porcello, where it may not happen as when we want it. It may happen a little later, and not to the same strikeout aspect that we want. We are playing a strikeouts game, and that's one of the things that I think he's going to be one of those classic better in real life than in fantasy guys, where, he'll get the outs, but you won't get you the strikeouts that we need sometimes. But then again, the cost kind of reflects that too, though, Scott. I mean, we're talking about a guy that's round 18 and a 15-teamer. He's your 6th starter, 7th starter. You could probably do worse. And then you got better defense around him. If a guy that puts the ball in play more, you want to have a better defense, right? So
I like that.
I'll still get him in some places. I'm not like, oh, I got to have him. But I'm like, yeah, okay, I'll go Mize here. I need another starter.
Prime example of how much better people in like 10 years ago, he'd be like pick 180 with that ERA and ratios and coming off the pedigree. And I think everybody looks at everything we look at too and sees that, the strikeouts aren't there and the metrics aren't there. He's a pretty good example of how smart this industry is overall has gotten and people drafting. It's interesting to see the progression of that, because 10 years ago, that would not have been the case.
I think you're probably right about that one. I mean, just we have more data. We have, and that's the thing. It's just trying to figure out how, but every data point we have is a reflection of what has happened, not what's going to happen. I think that's always the tricky part, is like, okay, well, this is another guy where they took their time. They brought him along slowly. They managed his innings. Maybe they'll manage him a little less, but it also might be, for those of us who are enthusiastic about him, it also might be slow down. It could happen. Right. It will happen, maybe even, but maybe not when you're ready for it. Maybe a little later in the game too.
Yeah, I think he might. He might bring some ratio damage along with him, but
we'll see.
A couple of guys I want to talk about at the end, but real quick, Andrew Heaney is the same ADP. There's been a lot of talk on him. Obviously, the fantasy numbers were horrible, but you got 19.5% K minus walk that everybody talks about too. Are you in or out on Andrew Heaney moving from wherever he was? He was at the Yankees and moving to the Dodgers.
I'm always in leagues where someone's listened to Jason Collette, including Jason Collette being in one league with me. So he listened to himself and took him. But I mean, there's a lot of good things in the profile. I mean, the 19.2 K minus walk percentage. I mean, that's pretty darn good. Team is good. The Dodgers. I mean, if there's anybody, there's a team. That and the Rangers would be the two teams I'd look for him to do well at, because the Rangers have had some success with veteran pitchers taking the next step up and a good ballpark to pitch in. But man, he is go-for-tastic. You do know, though, that anybody that's a Yankees fan, it won't touch him. So there's that. Angels fans aren't going to touch him.
Nope.
So you got that. You kind of get, I feel like it really is a Collette or no Collette sort of situation there. If they haven't read bold predictions, you're going to get them around 280. Fine. I don't want to pay 225 for him, though.
And it's weird because, he has so many extremes. Like the swinging strike rate's so good. He has some good whiff rates, 91st percentile and chase rate. There's so many good things. Mm-hmm. But like you said, you look at that he had 2.01 home runs per 9 last year. Like that's a lot of home runs given up last year. And Dodgers tend to do well with pitchers, though. I do get it's a very good move, both from division wise and kind of team coaching, team construct wise. I do get that, but. So the guy that I like before him, or the guy right after him we're talking about is one I talk about. I don't want everybody to think I don't like young guys and can project them to get better. And I really like Josiah Gray this year. ADP is 284. He's someone who was not good in his major league debut, 5.48 ERA, at least on the surface, 1.36 whip. K rate was okay, pretty good, 25%. Walk rate is a problem at 11%. This is someone that just smoked through the minors. He had an ERA under 3 at all levels of the minors. He had high 20s K numbers in the minors. He had a much better walk rate in the minors than in the major league. I think it's a first-time through thing. Are you going to fix that? Hard contact was an issue. I admit that the 12% barrel rate, small sample in 70 innings, but that's a problem. But 14.1% swinging strike rate, 47.8% whiff rate on a curveball, 45 on the slider. Give me a guy with 45% rate on 2 pitches. They used a lot. Used them both over 20%. At pick 284, this is someone that I want to grab every time possible, and I will push him up to make sure I get him. I would take him over Heaney. I would take him over Mize. I'd take him over Noah. He and Mckenzie might be close, but I'd probably take him over Mckenzie too.
Wow. And you like Mckenzie too a lot. So
I do.
Yeah.
Mckenzie's a close one. That would be tougher. Definitely those first 4 guys. Mckenzie and him are close, but those first 4 guys for sure.
Yeah. Fun fact. Once was traded for Yasiel Puig.
Then was
traded, Jeter Downs. Jeter Downs.
And then it was traded for Trey Turner and Max Scherzer, right?
Yeah. And Jeter Downs was traded for Mookie Betts. So the Reds really did well with that. But yeah.
Jeter Downs, the verdict's still out though.
Yeah, he had a really bad year last year, but it doesn't matter to the Dodgers. They got Mookie Betts out of it. Yeah. And a World Series already. So
that worked out pretty well.
Yeah.
Where are you on Greg? Because it's another guy that that everything you look at surface wise is not good, but you got to project. We're looking at minor league stuff. We're looking, again, another guy that loses 2020 stats for us, but I really like a lot of the stuff in this profile.
I mean, yeah, the Ks are great. The swing and miss. I mean, that's what we're going for here. And this is the guy you take a chance on when you get your Urquidy earlier.
He's just someone that I think probably might get a little bit popular too as we get in drafts, but I don't know. I'm gonna have a round circled in my drafts that I'm just gonna be calling my Josiah Gray round at some point. I'm just gonna take him and make sure that I don't lose him.
Yeah.
And even that is like round 15, 16. Like that's a pretty easy spot to make.
Suffice to say, whenever you get to make your 17th round pick, if he's still there in TGFBI, you'll be taking him.
Hopefully nobody's listening, but yes, he is my 17th round pick if he's still there.
Okay. I missed out on that opportunity. Probably won't get him coming back, but if I do, he's in my queue.
Last guy I wanted to ask you about, what does one do this year with Kyle Hendricks? He was I think he was like a 6th, 7th, 8th round guy last year, coming off with 7 straight years the ERA under 4. Last year was obviously brutal. 4.77 ERA, 1.35 WHIP. The K's crashed. The swing strike rate crashed. He's obviously had a massive ADP drop as a result. He's back down at 296. Do you think you are back in at this price, or is this we've seen what we got and it's time to move on?
To me, he's Kai Hendricks because I took his L, because I was like, all the forecast systems are wrong. How could the bat and how could Steamer give him well over a 4 ERA? That's crazy.
You won that for like 5 years before that, though.
No, but I was like railing about it this past last year's draft season. So, hey, some people take victory laps. I'm going to take a defeat lap here.
That's good because that shows that you can take both, and that's I think that's a very good thing.
Yeah, you have to. You're only credible if you do take. In fact,
agreed.
Take your defeat laps and let everybody else take your victory laps.
That is the goal. That is how I try and do it. Also,
probably not great advertising, but I've been around long enough anyhow. People have made up their minds on me. So, for what it's worth, I mean, the Cubs are going to be bad, right? He got 14 wins last year. That's not repeating. That was just super duper fluky. Even I think a positive correction could happen, but what's that correcting to? 415, 420? With not that many strikeouts. So I haven't gotten them yet.
The thing that he did so well all those years was limit hard contact. And he did that last year too. He was 92nd percentile in average exit velo. His barrel rate did double though. That's the one that that's a little problematic. He doubled to 8.4, but hard hit rate was still 33%. It's just home runs killed him. It was 1.54, highest home run rate of his career. And when they get the K's to crash that much, it's really hard in fantasy because if the K's aren't going to be there, the ratios have to be. You mentioned the wins might not be there. The Cubs are going to be bad. You're kind of starting this pick with 2 categories kind of off the board. You have to get those ratios for him to work at all.
Right. And the thing is, you can take one guy like that doesn't get you strikeouts when you're playing in an overall contest. If you're playing a standalone league, it's a little bit different. In an only league, it's definitely different.
For sure.
But in an FBC, which we talk about a lot, if I've got Urquidy, I'm not taking Hendricks. Let's put it that way.
Yeah. Someone asked in the chat, what do y'all think about Joe Ryan? I didn't bring him up this time because we talked about him last time, but I love Joe Ryan, especially as a sneaky later whip guy, because I think his whip is a really, really good stat that he does.
Yeah. Another one is Jesus Lizardo. I'm going to defer to you as the resident Jesus Lizardo expert.
I'm going to defer to no.
Okay. There you go.
Not that I won't talk about him, but then I won't be picking.
Okay. Yeah. And
I don't see what. I mean, I see it when you watch him pitch. Like, there's obviously some good stuff there, but I have seen none of the production. He was not good. It's not like he went to Miami and he was good all of a sudden.
No, he had a couple of good games, but his overall numbers in Miami were no better than Oakland.
He throws hard, and I don't know. I just don't think he knows how to pitch yet.
Yep.
I think it comes at some point. I think he's got so much stuff. I think it comes at one point, but I watched him at the A's, and we talked to him last year. I was out on him at the price last year. I didn't think he'd throw enough innings last year was my big concern. I think that's probably a problem again. But now for me last year, I was like, I don't think the innings are there. I think the ratios will be and the strikeouts will be, and none of it was. And I think innings concern are still there. I don't think he's throwing 180 innings anytime soon. And I don't think the productions are there. So it's just it's not great. Some of the chat asked about Wasker Noah. We actually covered him a little bit ago. So if you go back to the audio, we did talk about Noah. So yeah, but I'm out in Lizardo.
Yeah. I haven't gotten him yet. I see it as a reserve pick and take a chance that maybe pedigree comes through, but certainly not based on anything he did last year.
Do you want to do fades or our guys next week? We're going to do those the next 2 weeks. Which one do you want to start with?
You choose. I like you driving it, but
all right. Well, that's going to be the next 2
me.
podcasts. Those are the big ones we do in March. So but I'll figure out which one we do. So we're going to do fades or our guys next week. We'll do our targets. We'll do those next 2 weeks. I think we'll do fades first. I think
sounds good.
I like talking about fades, as you know. So anyway, thanks everybody for listening to the RotoWire Fantasy Baseball Podcast. We do always appreciate that. We appreciate all the questions. We appreciate all the comments. It seemed like almost everybody liked us talking about other baseball stuff aside from fantasy the first few minutes here. So we appreciate the kind words there as we try and kind of get through some of the baseball negativity with bringing some fun stuff to talk about. Everybody kind of needs that right now, at least in the baseball fan world. So
and I got a lot of movie and book recommendations now too. So
there you go. You
got that going for us.
Have you watched 42? You have not read Art of Fielding?
No, I have not. So I will.
I think you like it. It gets a little weird in the middle, but I think overall you like it. It's a good one. So
not season 2 of Friday Night Lights. Weird, is it?
Are you into that yet?
No, not yet. I've just been warned.
Weird's not the right word for it. It's just bad.
Okay.
It's only there's good stuff, and there's like a couple storylines that are really bad.
Okay.
You could tell like some person got in their ear, like you need to be a little more dramatic and shocking, and it didn't work very well. So,
okay.
It fixes itself, and it gets 3, 4, 5 are all great. So don't worry too much.
Unlike Sons of Anarchy, it fixes itself then. Okay, good.
Yeah, there's a lot of shows that don't fix themselves. This one definitely does. If anything, it fixed up and then got stronger even after.
Nice.
So it's good.
I like that.
So thanks everyone for listening. If you want to follow Jeff on Twitter, he's at Jeff_Erickson. I am at Scott Jenstad. Hit us up on there. Anything else you want to talk about in terms of things we like about baseball, any of the topics you want to hear about, definitely hit us up there. Other than that, we hope everybody has a great week. We'll be back at you next Sunday night talking about our fades for the 2022 season. Take care.